afraid, brother, that you, oh my brother, you are going through times of difficulty. I know sometimes you feel all alone. Call me anytime when you feel all the way down.
Oh, trials and temptations lie at every corner we turn. It's a
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful, all praise is due to Allah, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His Prophet Muhammad, his family and his followers all until the day of resurrection. Let me welcome every one of you to this episode, which I would say is the last episode that would come to you, at least during this period. Allah knows whether we'll continue this program, because I'm moving out of this place from Riyadh, and the arrangements will take place for rebroadcasting the program, for telecasting the program from another location in the new country that I'm moving in. So that would take some time, and for some reason it's not ready. That's why I would like to apologize for every one of you, because I've built some relationship, good, kind relationship with our great and beautiful viewers. Thank you so much for keeping in touch with Meteor Advisor. Let me start today, because I want to answer every question that I have, every email that was sent to me, and of course I am willing and ready to receive all your calls tonight, inshallah, and respond to every inquiry or comment you may have. Let me start with emails first, because normally I start with a piece of advice ahead of time, but this time I'm going to delay that until the end. If I have the time, I need to start concentrating on the emails. First, there is this question which says, a woman who has separated from her husband, not for divorce, for about 1 year, and then was informed about his death, so she started mourning for him 7 days. After his death, she went to pack her belongings out of the house, and she found a letter which he wrote about 6 months before his death, and the content of the letter was divorce. What is the position of this woman? Will she stop the mourning and not accept his inheritance, or what? That's basically what we are after. And then will she not accept the inheritance? That is basically what the question is. Now, first let me comment on the matter of all this lapse of time where there was no communication between this woman and her husband. Yes, she was his wife. I think there was some terrible relationship that was taking place, and then all of a sudden this woman was informed that she wasn't really aware that he actually he divorced her. It was in a letter. So first I need to emphasize the point of the communication, and it's either this or that. We should be sure that what we have is either, yes, I am the wife, or I'm not the wife. And if he decided, why would he keep it secret? That should be an open communication channel of dialogue between the husband and the wife. And that creates all these troubles. That's one thing. The other thing is, regarding this particular point, of course, the iddah, or the time of mourning, would start immediately after the divorce. Now, based on this, the divorce actually took place, and she was supposed to stay for 3 months after that divorce, and then she's not anymore in relationship with him, and which means that she can marry after that period of time. So yes, I think there is, according to the scholars of Islam, Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, a very famous scholar, was asked about basically the same question. He said iddah would start immediately after the divorce, so from the time when they were separated by his own writing, making sure that yes, this letter is authentic and true, and therefore she is not entitled to any inheritance, since he divorced her before his death, I think about 6 months or even before. So the point is, yes, there is no need for her to complete the iddah, because it already started from that time, and since this lapsed and without she was not aware of it, and she was in no knowledge, she is inshallah forgiven. But the point is, let's keep good relationships between the husbands and the wives. The point is, we don't want this miscommunication. We don't want this vague relationship where the woman doesn't know whether she is the wife or not. The husband doesn't know whether he's the husband or not. That should not be in a relationship. If there is a good relationship, let them continue. If not, let them stop this relationship. As Allah says, فَإِمْسَاكٌ بِمَعْرُوفٍ أَوْ تَسْرِيحٌ بِإِحْسَانٍ. Either we hold the relationship with goodness, with something that is as normal as possible, or we should release and stop this relationship with goodness. I mean, everyone is entitled to his own right. We know divorce is possible and is the last solution if there is no solution, and then everyone can go his own way. All right? So that is a point. Let me get to this email from Muhammad Mustafa, who said, I have a financial problem and I'm selling my wife's gold. I have 2 children and I'm praying to Allah the Almighty too much with my wife agreement. Please tell me, what should I read to solve this financial problem? I'm working in Jeddah. I am diabetic and I'm on insulin, and I'm working hard for my family. Well, first, may Allah provide you with rizq, abundance of favors and bounties from Allah, and may Allah keep you in good health. Yes, you need to work on this, and you need to seek and manage what to do. I think there are many things that we need to do in order to arrange for a good and smooth life. Money management, financial affairs management is something good, and we need to have that. Sometimes we need to pay a few dollars or riyals in order to get much if we have a good, serious trainer or an expert in this field who can tell us how to manage the money. By the way, I found over the internet some of the good programs or advices from good, authentic sources, which tell you about what to do when you are in a financial crisis. First, you resort to Allah, no doubt about it. He's the one to guide you. He's the one to take you out of this. That's the first thing, because if you take Allah's guidance, you know that only you spend what you need, and also you have to manage your money with responsibility. Secondly, you know what to do and put priorities. Where should I put the money first, and what should I do? And then I can take some of the extra. I can go and manage my diet system. Do a lot of many things that can help me use my resources that I have in my possession effectively and wisely. I think that would bring me good results by the grace of Allah. Sometimes people don't know how to spend the money. They spend lavishly, they spend here and there, and finally they are in a crisis. So that's one thing. Of course, one of the advices that was reported in the Sunnah is to read Surah Al-Waqi'ah. Surah Al-Waqi'ah is helpful in this, because it reminds a person, if you read it from time to time or constantly, it will help you, inshallah, overcome poverty by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it should also go hand in hand with all the other things that we need to do, which is the management of our financial resources very wisely and carefully. All right? May Allah help you in this. Secondly, let me see, this is Reed. Reed says, I'm an American who lives in Morocco, and it's not possible to go to khutbah, as I could understand only a limited, or I only have a limited knowledge of reading Arabic. Is it permissible to go to Jumu'ah just for the Salah? Does this make my Jumu'ah valid? Well, I don't know whether, Reed, I would assume you're a man, and of course it is an obligation upon every Muslim who's resident and has the means, who's not a traveler, to go to Jumu'ah. You need to go to the Friday prayer. That is this is the rule. And whether you understand Arabic or not, you will over time. As I can see from your own email, you said, Jazakallahu khairan, which means, yes, you can understand Arabic, you may have a limited knowledge, but by the time, look at all these Muslims, if all these Muslims don't understand Arabic, why they're holding Jumu'ah prayers everywhere in non-Arabic speaking countries such as Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, all these big and large Muslim countries, they still hold the Jumu'ah prayer, and yes, they can do it in their own language, but since you live in an Arab country, I think you should take advantage of this and try to learn Arabic and benefit from this opportunity. This is very, very important. Okay, and I think you need to go and attend the Jumu'ah, and inshallah, little by little, you can ask your neighbor, ask someone to tell you about the subject and benefit from the subject. You can read more about it. You know, that makes you even more serious about Jumu'ah prayer and the value of Jumu'ah. Jumu'ah is not only just to come and attend. Yes, this is an obligation to come and attend Salah. This is a symbol of the power of the Islamic Ummah. When you see Muslims all over coming to one large place, you feel more proud that you have so many in the big congregation. This is important. So it has this psychological effect. Also, you learn something. This is a day of Eid. It's the Eid of the week. If we have two Eids in the year, we have Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha as two major celebrations of ending two important worships, which is fasting the month of Ramadan and performing Hajj, standing at Arafat or on Arafat, and then obviously celebrating Eid al-Adha with the rest of the Muslim community and with the pilgrims as well. That is in of itself is good manifestation of the power and might of the Ummah. So that is a significance of the day of Jumu'ah. The Jumu'ah has so many virtues because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam on the day of Jumu'ah. The resurrection, the day of resurrection will be on the day of Jumu'ah. As I also remember, the entrance of people into paradise will be on the day of Jumu'ah. In Jumu'ah there is 1 hour in which anyone would ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of anything and He would be answered. And by the way, those who are having difficulties, financial problems, social problems and so on, need to resort to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during the khutbah time, when the Imam goes on the pulpit until the khutbah is over, along with salah, or the last hour of the day before sunset, every Jumu'ah. That is a good time to raise your hands and to turn towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for fulfilling your needs. All right. Jamshir, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Are you there? Jamshir or Jamshid, are you there?
Two questions, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
First question, hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Yeah, my first question is whether that if we reach a Jummah prayer and the Imam has finished the second rakah, that is, he has stood up from the ruku.
Yes.
So we have to pray the 2 rakah or a Dhuhr prayer, 4 rakah.
All right, very
Number
good.
one.
Okay.
Number two is the hijab of a human person is from navel to knees. So he has to cover his knees or he has to leave his knees open.
When you are praying,
When you are praying,
you have to close your knees.
The hijab of a man is from navel to knees. So if he is wearing something which is above the knees, or it should be below the knees.
Okay, all right. I'll answer that question.
And one more question, small question. I have seen, so many people after finishing the namaz, they put their hand on the head and they recite some du'as. Is it sunnah?
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So 3 questions. Thank you so much, Jamshid. Let me answer these questions since they are related to Friday. First, he said, if a man catches the Jumu'ah prayer after the second ruku', if he misses the second ruku', and if he misses the ruku', he misses the whole rak'ah. In other words, he hasn't caught any of the Jumu'ah prayer, and therefore what he needs to do is to stand up, yes, join the imam, but stand up and pray 4 rak'ahs rather than 2, because he already missed Jumu'ah. He did not even catch 1 rak'ah. If you catch 1 rak'ah, yes, you can make up for the first missed one, and that becomes the second. So the second that you prayed with the imam becomes your first, and then you make up for the first one as your second, and therefore you would be having Jumu'ah prayer. But in this case, if you missed the second ruku', then you need to make it up in dhuhr. This is the all right. Do I have another caller? Hanifa, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam, Sheikh.
Yes, Hanifa, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, Kwais.
Very good.
Sheikh, I have a question about the names of the 8 gifts of paradise.
Yes.
Can you enumerate the names of the 8 gifts of paradise?
The names of the
8 gates of paradise.
The 8 paradises, is that what you're saying? Gates? 8 gates?
Yeah, the names. The names.
The name of the gates of paradise.
Yeah, and the second one is,
yes.
This question is, I collect to my friends here, and they tell me that, can you ask from the Huda with the nature advisor that, please help me. I said to them that, okay, I will help you. Their question is about treating the servants inside the house. And then they tell me that why they treat us, our employers treat us bad or like that, not kindly. They read the hadith of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that in Islam the people should be treated kindly.
Yes.
So why we are suffering? I don't know, but I feel so sorry for their situation, Sheikh. So
okay.
I think your program can help me to answer their question.
Okay.
So that is the number 2 question of mine.
Very good.
How to treat the human towards or to the human inside the house or like that. Like
Maid?
that
You're talking about women as wives or maids?
They are housekeepers or
Housekeepers or house. Okay.
So
All right.
please enlighten this, Sheikh, because I have too much friends here. They're suffering a lot.
Okay.
So only that I can tell them I will meet our advisor from Huda.
All right. Very good. Inshallah.
And the third one is, it's not a question, but a simple words to my fellow human being inside or outside in this country, that we should be kind to everyone. We should be treat Instead of unkindness to the other people,
Right.
we should be a role model.
Of
we
course.
should remember the characteristic of the mothers of the believers, like
Okay. Thank you.
Khadija and so on and so forth.
Yes.
So
Okay.
that's only Sheikh. Shukran and shukran to the Huda TV.
Thank you so much, sister. Let me go back to the answer for Brother Jamshid, who asked about the Jumu'ah, and he said, what about if a person prays in clothing and it's above the knee? Well, we know that the area that should be covered in the prayer for a man has to be at least from the navel to the knee. So the knee is basically included in there, and it should not go above the knee. At least we would say up, down to the knee, and it would be nice. But why do we need to wear shorts anyway? That's not the characteristic of a Muslim to wear shorts, because normally, yes, you can wear long or dresses or pants to the middle of your leg, but not to the up to the knee. It has to be maintained, and you should look for this as a Muslim, and don't imitate the non-believers, even in the summertime or the hot weather, and you say, well, I need to relax. Yeah, but you need, if you are in an Arab or Muslim country, you can wear the thawb, which is fine and light and can create some movement of air inside. You don't feel as hot as you are wearing pants. And believe me, if you try it, you'll enjoy it. Whether this is like Pakistani dress, an African dress, or an Arab dress, these are all worn by Muslims, alhamdulillah. So that would be nice, rather than to act like you are in a Western country where the weather is different and the customs are different. So I would say it has to be at least up to the knee. Whether this is the knee is included or not is subject to discussion among the scholars, and I would prefer that it has to go beneath the knee in order to be on the safe side, because normally it might be down the knee, but then when you sit for tashahhud, this dress will come up a little bit. Sometimes it will show part of the knee, and it should not be done like this. Jamshid, I think you asked me a third question, and I think I forgot. I'm sorry. I tried to remember, but if you could send me an email, I will get it, inshallah. All right, I'll get it. Let me answer the questions of our sister Hanifa, who first asked about the gates of heaven. We know that we have 8 gates in heaven, in paradise, alhamdulillah. And I don't know all the names, because I don't know whether all the 8 names were mentioned, but we know, for example, Ar-Rayyan, which is one of the gates, and that is only made especially for the people who fast, those who fast in the path of Allah. Of course, inshallah, this would include Ramadan, but also other voluntary prayers. And if all these people enter from that door, all those who used to fast during their own life, and I would assume this is extra, not only the obligatory fasting during the month of Ramadan, it will be closed, and they will not enter afterwards. So that is Ar-Rayyan. I don't know the other gates names, but you can refer and see what the scholars. I don't have the answer ready, because I don't know whether all these gates were mentioned, but we know that heaven has 8 gates. Hellfire, may Allah forbid us from, has 7 gates. لها 7 أبواب. So we actually ask Allah to, and by the way, if we do certain acts, we will be given the choice to enter from any gate we choose. It's up to us. We have the choice. Because, for example, if I forgive someone who is eligible or whom I can punish for some terrible mistake they committed against me. And if I forgive them, I will be given the choice as a reward by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enter from any gate that I would choose on the Day of Judgment. This is how the hadith described the reward for that. Okay. The second question for Sister Hanifa is regarding the treatment of housekeepers, the treatment of servants, our brothers and sisters, especially women. As she said, she has some friends, some sisters who are treated, whether they are Muslims or Christians. It doesn't matter. We have to treat these house workers in the best way. We have to give them their own rights based on the contract, and the contract has to be fair. And also, at the same time, we should not burden them with something beyond their ability. We should give them their own salary on time. We should not in any way treat them badly or try to shout at them, try to, blame them for all this, but we should be forgiving. We know that they commit mistakes. They are just human beings. They commit mistakes, and we should forgive them so that we can build this relationship. They're still our brothers and sisters, even if they work for us. Like the Prophet ﷺ, who said, إِخْوَانُكُمْ خَوَلُكُمْ. So they are, those who work with you are your own brothers and sisters, and you should treat them as such. And if you eat something, you have to feed them from the same thing that you eat. If you wear something, you have to give them something to wear from the same thing that you're wearing, if that is what is stated in the contract. And it should be like this, because then they would feel very comfortable in that way. So the advice is always to be kind to workers. We should always give them some good. But I know this is, some people are used to that, and they boast about, we are rich, we have money, we don't want to treat our house workers or people who work for us. You think we are the masters, they are the slaves. This is in no way Islamic. The Islamic way is to treat people nicely, kindly, and of course, if they commit a mistake, we can advise them, we can ask them to correct it. But if we even forgive them, that'd even be better, and we would get a great reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for doing so. All right. Let me go to this email from Noura, who said, I have been a Muslim for a little over a year. Alhamdulillah, I have some question. I moved to Egypt a little over a year ago from America, and I forgot to pay my taxes. I started making the steps to pay them, but the IRS, that's the collection agency for taxes, says I think it's Internal Revenue Service, said that if you pay late, they will charge me interest fees. Is this riba? And if I plan to go to make Umrah, inshallah, do I need to have my debts paid? Well, first, why were you late in paying your own taxes? I mean, taxes is something that you need to pay, since this is the agreement that you accepted the citizenship of this particular country, and this is the system. Yes, I know it's not right for them to take it, but you're obliged. And in order to avoid such thing, you should not allow this to happen unless it's out of your own hand, where there is a necessity for you to do this. So my advice to you is try to do it on time. Never have to do this again, where you leave it until later, and then you need to pay interest fees on that. Secondly, do you need to, can you make Umrah without your debts? Well, depending. Because, look, when I have a debt that is already due, okay, the time is due. All right, Sharif, salamu alaikum. I think we got him cut. I know it's difficult to get these calls from Nigeria, so I'm sorry about that disconnection. But let me say this: if you have a debt, it's either due or not due. If it's due, then obviously you have this right of a person against the right of Allah. Now, there is a general rule in Islam which is حق العباد مبني على حق الله مبني على المسامحة وحق العباد مبني على المشاحة. In other words, Allah's rights are based on forgiveness. So Allah will forgive you because He's kind, but people are not. People generally are greedy and they want their own rights, so you have to pay them. And Allah asks you to pay the rights of people, financial rights first, and then you can pay like zakah and so on and so forth. So in this regard, go ahead and pay your debt if it is due, and don't go to Umrah. If it's still not due and you have the money, you can go ahead, and it will not affect paying the debt in time. So go ahead and make the Umrah, and may Allah accept from you. This is Shireen who says, I would like to give, okay, thanks, well thank you. And she says, I would like to ask a major help from you. I don't know what is this. I think it's a personal thing, and I don't want to get into personal things because maybe I don't want to answer. It's some long issue regarding some advice regarding the children and so on, her own children. All right, I'll contact her by email, inshallah. This is Maryam who says, please, I want to ask some questions about something that has been confusing me, which is a friend of mine told me that she used to rub her private parts until she derives pleasure, and I don't feel this is good. So we argued as to whether it is permissible in Islam or not. Please, I want you to give us an Islamic ruling on this. Well, doing this masturbation either for men or women is prohibited. It's not allowed. And in some reports of sayings in the traditions, in the Islamic traditions, is that maybe you ask your own hand to give pregnancy, and of course it will not be possible. I mean, what a shame thing to do, maybe on the Day of Judgment. So a person, besides this as being a prohibited act, it will have a terrible psychological effect on a person because you keep on imagining yourself doing this with another person. So that is not allowed. It's going to be a great psychological struggle and burden upon the people who do it. So try not to do it. You need to get away from all the provocative things, the sexual, arousal factors, things that, like pictures, movies. Of course, that is all prohibited, and it's not allowed in Islam to be involved in. So the advice here in this case, please protect yourself. Be always in the company of good Muslims around you, good people who don't lead you into this. And if you're a man, don't look into women's pictures or look at women who may create, because you keep these images in your own mind, and then you remember them later on. So you want to have that kind of relationship, which is not allowed. So we don't need to submit to all these, pressures on us. But if we avoid this, and by the way, if you remember this hadith, if you turn away your own vision from something, if you leave something for Allah's sake, Allah will compensate you with some sweetness in your heart that you will feel and enjoy so much. من ترك شيئا لله عوضه الله خيرا منه أو أبدله الله حلاوة يجدها في قلبه. So if you leave something for Allah's sake, Allah will compensate you with something that is better. So if you leave this and don't look at this, of course, the same thing happens to a woman. If a woman leaves looking at men with interest, of course, obviously Allah will give them something that they will enjoy inside their hearts. So, of course, we don't need to do this. We need to avoid such a thing. Okay? This is Fadila Balgam, who says, all right, I would like to you to answer some of the forwarded email. All right. Fadila says, no question has been answered for me by Huda. I'm sorry about that. Does the carat of the gold jewelry count when calculating the zakah? Well, actually, carats, if you have 24 carats, which is almost like not there, they start from the 22 carats, because of pure gold is 24 carats, and normally it's not soft. It's so soft, people don't wear it. And normally it starts with 22, 21, 20, 18, 14, 12 carats. So, but the price will go down. Price will go down, and that's why the carats, they will only charge you for the amount of gold in a particular jewelry. So it's always there counted for you. So don't worry. Basically, if it reaches the nisab, now the nisab for jewelry is 80 grams. If you have 80 grams of gold, then you go ahead and pay the zakah for it. And normally it is because if you say, well, normally go ahead and ask a jewelry store to give you the estimate for the price of this particular piece of gold. Or if you have different golds, then they will give you the price, and they will tell you exactly the value, and the value will be less as the carat will be. And of course that depends also on age, because it will depreciate over time. So that is already in there. How do I calculate the zakah value of my gold? Well, as I said, 2.5% of the value. The value will be in currency. If you can do it, or if it's 80 grams, you can take out of this 2.5% of the 80, which comes to about, I would say, 2 grams, basically, because out of 40, there's only one. So 2 grams of gold, or their own value in currency, will suffice in this case. What do I do if I don't have money to pay when it's due? Well, as I said, if you don't have the money, you can sell the gold or give out the gold itself, like depending on how many grams are involved. Okay? Since we left Saudi Arabia, we have been struggling financially to make living, and we have lots of debt because of student loan and car loan and all that. And I haven't worked since coming to Canada and so on. I don't want to sell my gold. There are not many, because they are gifts from my husband, and I am afraid of having unpurified wealth. My husband has been out of job for about 2 years and so on. So she's telling me about her own problems, financial problems. In that case, you have the choice to pay the zakah or don't pay the zakah, because the zakah of the gold here, I'm talking about gold, because that is a subject of discussion among scholars. Some scholars are saying it is an obligation to pay the zakah for gold. Some are saying no, it is not. It is not. And therefore, I would say in this case, since you don't have, and that's, by the way, the opinion of the majority of scholars. The majority of scholars say there is no zakah for normal use of the jewelry. If you have jewelry of gold, and they're just basically not for you there to save, but rather to use whenever you have the opportunity, like in parties and during occasions and so on, happy occasions. Obviously, there is no need to pay the zakah for that. All right. I think I need to stop here, and I'll come back for more, so please stay around.
I heard it through a brother that you, oh my brother, you are going through times of difficulty.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose whom He wills subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy, for His messengership, for the revelation to be revealed. This is not for the human beings to make that decision. If a person would turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, truthfully, asking for forgiveness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to forgive. We have as Muslims a duty, and that is to recite the book of Allah, to ponder over the verses, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to act according to the Quran. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses everything, but who would this mercy will be for? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to all mankind. So the ummah, or the people of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are all mankind since the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam till the day of judgment. Why waste our life without getting to know every verse in the Quran, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us?
Kids quiz. Do you have kids? Do you want your kids to enjoy their time? Do you want them to benefit from their time? Would you like to increase their knowledge in Islam and general culture?
Honesty, Brother Frisco.
Yes!
Whoa! How should you choose your friend?
And they should have lots and lots of toys! Yes!
A show consists of challenges, questions. No. The two teams with the most points at the end of the show, they win the lovely golden medal. Or, if you come in second place, of course, you win a lovely silver medal. The winning team overall gets a lovely golden medal.
I'm very excited I did it. I didn't believe that I could do it.
Do you like to teach them the Islamic values? Would you like to get to know our puppet Frisco?
It's a good day today.
Join our program, Kids Quiz, to have more knowledge and fun.
I heard it through a brother that you, oh my brother, you are going through times of difficulty.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. I know I have little time to go and have so many emails. Let me try to give you brief answers here. This is a question from one sister about thinking a lot. She says, I'm thinking a lot, and that leads me to worries, anxieties, and confusion. And thoughts are nonsense. I find it hard to stop thinking. And so on. This distracts me and distracts me from my own worship. What do I do? Well, you need to concentrate on the worship. It's a struggle, but it will come over time. You ask Allah for dua, you learn how to concentrate, and also learn Quran by heart if you can during your own salah, and be in the company of good people. That will help you, inshallah, overcome all these anxieties and too much thinking. If you are in the company of people, you'll not think much about your own, but rather you think along with the group. You'll be, busy with the group. So that's my advice for you. And with dua, inshallah, these things will be solved. Sulaiman says, I have a problem. I always think of having sex, and I'm not married, so for me to avoid that, I do masturbate. I think I did answer that earlier, which is to stop this. Masturbation is prohibited and not right. Amin, are you on the phone? Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Go ahead, brother Amin.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum assalam. Yes. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Go ahead.
Sheikh, I have a question. I have some relatives, widow ladies, who have no other source of income, but they are having gold approximately about 80 grams. So can we give them zakat because they don't have any other source of income?
Right.
They have this jewelry given by the parents on their weddings and all. But now they become widows and no other income sources.
Right, right. Yes, no problem. Give them the zakah for this gold, inshallah.
We can.
And it will be inshallah acceptable, because if you give zakah to some relatives who are not dependent on you, obviously it's a zakah and sadaqah, but it's also sila, or connection and kindness to relatives. All right? Thank you so much. So in order to avoid all these thoughts about sex and all that, you need to avoid looking into arousals. Don't look at pictures. Don't look at women, my brother. That will help you, inshallah, overcome this problem. This is a sister who says, please can you explain how and when do you perform dua? What is the best and proper way? Well, first in dua, you need to take your food from a halal source in order to be answered for your prayer. Secondly, don't ask something that is against Allah, or something that is not possible, or such as, oh Allah, make me the king of the world. That's not going to happen. So don't ask a dua like this. Okay. Thirdly, you need to not be this is transgression in dua. Thirdly, you need to make it for Allah's sake, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be very sincere. Ask Allah for good things in this life as well as the hereafter. If you are on wudu, it would be better. Direct your face towards the qibla, that even is better. Raise your hands. All these are parts of the etiquettes of making dua. Sharif, are you there?
I'm here. I'm there.
Assalamu alaikum. Go ahead, brother.
I'm there. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, Sheikh, my question is that I want to know, is it halal?
Yes.
Is it halal a Muslim to kill a Muslim, his brother Muslim, because of maybe different aqidah or something of that nature? Some who can put even a bomb to kill a Muslim brother just because of different of aqidah. Is that halal in Islam? Is it jihad?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, brother. Okay. Well, this is actually, this question raises some bigger questions about the conflicts that may happen here and there. But it's not right for a Muslim to kill another Muslim, even if he's different, if he has a different aqidah, or even a non-Muslim. Because obviously a Muslim has a different faith than a Muslim, and therefore it's not in the hands of a Muslim to do that. It's only in the hands of the authorities, of the government, of the people, after they hear this in the court, and if there's a discussion, if there's a reason. By the way, the difference, being a different in faith doesn't allow a person to kill another person. I mean, if being a non-Muslim is not a way to allow this blood of that person, because he's non-Muslim, to be killed. It's only when he's an enemy, if he's a traitor, if he's someone who has committed a crime and he has to be tried in a legal court under the Sharia by an authority, meaning a government, and then they could issue a verdict in this or a decision or a ruling, and then this could be executed by these authorities, but not in our hands. We should not take the law into our hands. This is wrong, and this is one of the terrible mistakes that some Muslims commit on their own, because they want to establish the Sharia on their own, by their own way. This is not right, and it's not acceptable. I'm sorry, I have many other emails. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm sorry I could not answer them today because of the time, but inshallah, somehow in the future, I may answer some of these by email, inshallah. I hope I do, because I'm moving to another country, and that's why this program will stop for the time being until we see if we can restart this again. Thank you so much for all of you. Thank you for Huda TV, for all the people who are working with me, have been working in Riyadh for a long period of time to get this program to you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us on the straight path until we meet at some other time and from another location. I leave you with Allah's care and protection. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I heard it through a brother that you, oh my brother, you are going through times of difficulty. I know sometimes you feel all alone. Call me anytime when you feel all the way down.
Oh, trials and temptations lie at every corner we turn. It's a test from Allah to see if we succeed or not. My brother, it's a trial that you're going through. So don't be afraid, Allah's there for you. So hold on, Allah's there for you. Hold on, He's listening to you. Hold on.